Hello, history buffs and architecture lovers, and welcome to our channel. Today, we're journeying to the heart of Prague, to a building that's not just a church, but the very soul of the Czech nation. We're exploring the magnificent St. Vitus Cathedral. Standing proudly within the walls of Prague Castle, St. Vitus isn't just the largest church in the Czech Republic. It's a breathtaking masterpiece of Gothic architecture and a symbol of national identity. Its spires don't just scrape the sky. They tell a story that spans nearly 600 years. Imagine this. The foundation stone for the Gothic marvel we see today was laid way back in 1344. But the story of this sacred ground goes back even further, to a 10th century rotunda and an 11th century basilica. It's like an architectural time capsule, with each layer revealing a new chapter of Prague's history. The construction of the current cathedral is an epic saga in itself, a tale of ambition, war, fire, and rebirth that finally concluded in 1929. That's a 600-year-long construction project. So, what is St. Vitus Cathedral? It's many things at once. It's the seat of the Archbishop of Prague, making it a vital center for the Catholic faith. It's the place where Bohemian kings were crowned, their power sealed beneath its soaring vaults. It's a royal crypt, the final resting place for monarchs and even Holy Roman emperors. And it's a national treasury, safeguarding the priceless Czech crown jewels. This isn't just a building, it's a living monument. Let's step back to the very beginning. The first church here was a round building, a Romanesque rotunda, founded around the year 930 by Duke Wenceslaus. Yes, the good King Wenceslaus from the Christmas Carol. He dedicated it to St. Vitus after acquiring a holy relic, the arm of the saint. An interesting theory suggests the name Svativit was also chosen because it sounds a bit like Svantevit, a Slavic sun god, which might have helped ease the local pagan population into their new faith. As Prague grew in importance, so did the need for a grander church. In 1060, construction began on a much larger Romanesque basilica. It was an impressive structure for its time, with 3 aisles and 2 towers. A key part of the original rotunda, containing the tomb of St. Wenceslaus, was even incorporated into this new building, preserving its sacred core. But the real story, the one that defines the cathedral's iconic look, begins in 1344. Prague was elevated to an archbishopric, a huge deal in medieval Europe. King John of Bohemia and his son, the future Holy Roman Emperor Charles IV, decided they needed a cathedral that would reflect this new status. They wanted something grand, something divine, something Gothic. On November 21, 1344, the first stone was laid. The man they hired for the job was a French architect named Matthias of Arras. He brought the classic French Gothic style to Prague. Think soaring heights, flying buttresses, and precise mathematical harmony. For 8 years he laid the groundwork, completing the eastern end of the choir. But when Matthias passed away, the project fell into the hands of a visionary who would change everything. Enter Peter Parler. He was only 23 years old when he took over, but he was a genius. Trained as a sculptor, he didn't just see stone as a building material. He saw it as a medium for art. He started by following Matthias's plans, but soon his own audacious ideas began to take shape. Parler treated architecture like sculpture, and his work introduced a dynamic, organic feel that was revolutionary. He was also a busy man, juggling other massive projects like the famous Charles Bridge, so progress was slow but masterful. After Parler's death, his sons and workshop continued his work. They completed the Great South Tower and its stunning Golden Gate, named for its brilliant golden mosaic depicting the Last Judgment. But just as momentum was building, disaster struck. The Hussite Wars broke out in the early 15th century, and construction ground to a halt. The unfinished cathedral was damaged, its furnishings smashed by iconoclasts. Then, in 1541, a great fire swept through Prague Castle, causing even more destruction. For the next few centuries, St. Vitus stood as a shadow of its intended glory. The finished choir was sealed off with a temporary wall, while the nave, the main body of the church, remained an empty, unbuilt space. Imagine a magnificent cathedral, just cut in half. There were a few attempts to restart construction, but lack of funds always got in the way. Instead, little bits and pieces were added in different styles, like the striking Baroque spire on the South Tower, which you can still see today. Then, in the 19th century, a new wave of national pride swept across Bohemia. In 1844, a society was formed with one ambitious goal: to finally complete St. Vitus Cathedral. This was the dawn of the final chapter. The restorers' mission was to create a unified building, and they made the brilliant decision to consciously imitate Peter Parler's original Gothic designs. Architects Joseph Cranner and Joseph Macher led the charge, repairing the old structure and designing the new western half. When Macher died, Camille Hilbert took over, seeing the project through to its end. This new section, though built centuries later, is so faithful to the original style that it's hard to tell where the old Gothic ends and the new Neo-Gothic begins. The result is a seamless, harmonious masterpiece. This final push wasn't just about stone and mortar, it was also a canvas for the great artists of the day. The legendary Art Nouveau painter Alphonse Mucha designed some of the stunning stained glass windows you can see in the northern nave, and the breathtaking rose window above the main entrance depicting the biblical story of creation was designed by František Kasela. Finally, in 1929, on the 1000th anniversary of St. Wenceslaus's death, the cathedral was declared complete. Nearly 600 years after it began, the dream was realized. So what makes the architecture of St. Vitus so special? It's all about the Parlerian synthesis. Peter Parler's genius lies in his innovations. His most famous is the net vault. Instead of simple crisscrossing ribs on the ceiling, he used a complex web of double ribs, creating a stunning, zigzagging net pattern. It's not just beautiful, it's structurally stronger. Parler's sculptural approach is everywhere. The walls seem to undulate, the pillars feel alive, and no two of his window traceries are exactly the same. He also carved a series of incredibly lifelike busts in the triforium, the upper gallery. They depict the royal family, saints, and bishops, but also, in a bold move, he included busts of himself and his predecessor, Matthias of Arras. It's like an artist signing his masterpiece in stone. But the heart of the cathedral is a place of profound sanctity, the St. Wenceslaus Chapel. Built by Parler himself, this chapel houses the relics of the nation's patron saint. It's a jaw-dropping space. The lower walls are encrusted with over 1,300 semi-precious stones, glowing like a jewelry box. Above them, medieval frescoes depict the life of Christ and St. Wenceslaus. It feels less like a room and more like a holy treasure chest. And speaking of treasure, hidden behind a small door in this chapel secured by 7 different locks is the crown chamber. This is where the Czech crown jewels are kept. These priceless symbols of sovereignty are only shown to the public on very rare occasions, maybe once every 5 years, making them all the more legendary. The influence of Parler's work at St. Vitus spread like wildfire across Central Europe. His net vaults and sculptural style became hallmarks of late Gothic architecture in Austria, Germany, and beyond. There's even a debate among historians about whether his work influenced the extravagant vaulting styles that appeared in England around the same time. St. Vitus wasn't just a cathedral, it was an architectural trendsetter. In the modern era, the cathedral faced a different kind of challenge, a legal battle over its ownership. After the fall of communism, a 14-year dispute began between the church and the state. Eventually, the courts ruled that the building itself belongs to the Czech state, while its interior furnishings belong to the church. In 2010, a sensible agreement was reached. A joint board was created to manage the cathedral, recognizing its dual role as both a sacred place of worship and a monument of national importance for all people. From its ancient foundations to its neo-Gothic completion, St. Vitus Cathedral is a testament to faith, artistry, and the enduring spirit of a nation. It's a building that took 600 years to grow, absorbing the history of Prague into its very stones. It's a place where you can feel the weight of centuries and be lifted by the beauty of human creation. Thank you so much for joining us on this tour of one of the world's most incredible cathedrals. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure. See you next time.